It's Saturday the 29th of April and what a great morning I've had already. We have perfect weather for gardening today, and so that's exactly what I've been doing. I finished weeding the last raised bed that I was tackling, and then I went to get a load of compost from our compost heap from last year. Well, good grief, it's such fabulous stuff. So here's the bed, finally finished, and I've had to lift an awful lot of weeds and things out of it. So I've left in here 2 aqualegias that were already here. Well, they've self-sown, so they were already here, but not when I first made the bed. And then at one end there's some parsley, which is looking a bit keeled over at the moment, but that's just because it's been supported by the weeds. And then at the other end there's some lemon balm, which, oh, this is just so nice. I got this from my mother-in-law's garden 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Look how lovely it is, and this was just a tiny little rooted cutting that I took, and it's growing into a really big healthy bush. Now that is over knee high already, and it's really filling out, and I think in a couple of years time it's just going to fill the end of that bed and just look lovely. And I really like the idea that as I'm walking up and down, I'm just going to brush past it and get that lovely lemon scent. Okay, so here's the first barrow load of compost that I've pulled out of the compost heap. Now, I started making this about July last year, or maybe August, and it's moist and it's rich and it's crumbly, and there's masses of it. I'm so pleased. So I think I'm going to get 2 loads like this out of one of my pallet compost bays or compost heaps, and this one actually I know wasn't full up to the top, so it's promising for future heaps. So I think this was about 2/3 full rather than completely full. Let's get this onto the garden. Well, I certainly think this is going to make a massive difference, because the soil, as I've said before, it's concrete hard, it's incredibly dry, and although it's got actually quite a lot of life in it now, that's quite low down. So putting the compost on the top will bring the worms up to the surface, then they'll take the compost further down into the soil, and that will improve its condition. Last year I mulched all of our vegetable beds with straw to minimise the number of weeds that came through, and to some extent that worked. But there were 2 issues with it. The first is that we bought the straw in, and we bought it from a local farmer, and he's not an organic farmer, and I have a concern that he probably treated the barley with glyphosate before he harvested it, and I suspect there's still a residue of it on the straw. So don't really want to put that on the garden. It doesn't seem like a very smart move, but I didn't think of that until after I'd done it, so it had to suffice last year, and this year I'll be thinking of something different. And the other problem with that is that not all of the barley seeds, or the barley ears, were actually off the stalks. So I now have thousands of little barley plants popping up all over the garden. And that's fine, I can just do a chop and drop on them and it'll help improve the soil, but it's not an ideal answer. So this year I think I'm going to probably use partially composted wood chippings, so not the beautiful well rotted ones that we've had from our tree surgeon and that I've been using as a growing medium, and not the very coarse wood chippings that we use for the pathways. But we have actually got some partially composted wood chippings, which will allow me to pop them on the top and to use as a mulch, as a weed suppressing layer for our vegetables, and also to keep the moisture in, and then they'll break down over the next few years and improve the soil as we go. There are some weeds here that are just so hideous. These are growing on top of the weed suppressing membrane, And their root system is just incredible. They, oh look, nice worm. Back you go, sweetie. They just grow through anything. So this is a couch grass of some sort, and it has an extensive root system, and even if you leave a tiny bit in there, away it goes, growing away again. And the only way I'm going to deal with it is to tackle a little bit each time I see it. Anyway, back to the bed that I'm sorting out. Now last year this had leeks in it last year, and some butternut squash, and the squash didn't do very well, but the leeks did, and we've just finished harvesting them. And so this year I need to grow something different in there, and so I think I'm probably going to be using it for cabbages and kale. And I'm going to need some sort of protection because we have an awful lot of cabbage white butterflies here, and they'll just decimate any of the brassica family that you leave exposed to the elements, and they'll nip in and lay their eggs, and the next thing you know you've got hundreds of little caterpillars all eating your food. So I'm going to use a tried and tested method which lots of people do, and that's some hoops over the top and then some netting to stop the butterflies getting to the crops. I still have one more hoop to put in, but I can't right now because the little metal post that I bang into the ground, well, I can't find one, and another one is actually still stuck inside the hoop from last year. So I'm going to have to get Mr. J with a pair of pliers to help me pull that out. But there we go, so the hoops are in, and these are just bits of piping. And we cut several of them to the same length, and this is quite high up. These are about 2.5 to 3 feet, probably 2.5 feet high, from the soil to the top of the hoop. And the reason I want them so high is because I'm going to be putting tall brassicas in here, and I really don't want them brushing against the netting, or else the butterflies will be able to land on the netting and still lay their eggs on the brassicas. At around lunchtime today I had to stop gardening for a little while because the new owners came to collect 2 of our young Jersey Giant chicks, and so they've gone off to live in Wiltshire it sounds like it's going to be a lovely place for them. Their garden's about the same size as our plot here, so I think the chickens are going to love it. Well, that's my lot for outside today. It's getting windy, my hair's going in every which way direction, but I'm actually quite tired now, so I need to go in and have a rest and possibly a sleep. But I'll be back out again tomorrow to do a bit more out here and to carry on looking after my chickens. If you're enjoying my vlogs, please hit the little thumbs up button, leave a comment below, share it on social media, and of course, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe.